Hello, folks, and welcome to Star Metal Productions. We are back after a little bit of a hiatus for some more At Its Core, our Substratum Protocol series. I, of course, am joined by my two friends, as always, here, Tel and the Eye, reprising their role as Dr. Sabastian Undermoon and Dr. Sampson Daring, respectively. And it's going to get hot today down here under the earth. So I got some fun plans. As always, we're going to try to make it through two sectors, and we're going to have some fun. So I don't think there's any big announcements just yet, but I imagine announcements, marketing faux pas there. But I imagine we're going to have something to talk about in the near future. We are juggling like 4 different series ideas at the moment, with plans for 1 or 2 of them rolling out fairly shortly. So stay tuned for more. If you like what we're doing, go down and press all the buttons that make all the fun noises, all the likes and subscribes and whatever other plus signs and happy faces and hearts and all those feel good buttons that tell our AI overlords that you want to see more of us. With that, however, I'm going to keep this intro rather short and jump in to things. So, I suppose, before we move on, because we did take a week off, let's remind ourselves and the audience what we've been up to. This is our 3rd episode, I believe, of At Its Core. So would either of you two astute doctors...
I think it's the Eye's turn to do it this time, as I did it last time.
Oh, is it now? Well then,
you did most of the heavy lifting in the last episode, so
I did talk to this thing, this ancient entity of which bid us adieu, I believe last. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened before that.
So we started out in the ancient ruins, I believe.
The ancient ruins, right? We went through the ancient ruins. We scared away the cat thing.
Yep.
And then we walked through there, and we came across this like tiered water burny system that seemed to fuck with the laws of physics a bit in terms of like being over here and being over there, and like some of them were really cold and some of them were really hot. But that wasn't the same room as the crystal entity that we found, right? That was next.
It was leading up to it, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we followed the path down, and we noticed that there was this crystal formation that was making like when you made noises, it would blink back in a sequence, and that's when we figured out that this thing was actually alive and not just some sort of, or at least sentient, and not just a computer. Like I had originally thought it was just some sort of like computer system that we had found that ran calculations.
Despite my embarrassing misunderstanding of prime numbers.
And then I think we spent like in-game time, like days talking to this thing.
Yeah.
I will ask, because still learning the system, can I use a take a breath while that's occurring?
Yeah, you can take a breath at any time. It just causes some sort of complication.
Gotcha. Understood. I don't think I need to do that yet. I was just thinking like in my head of like if we're sitting around for days just conversing, you would think that would be like the D&D equivalent of a long rest or something.
Yeah. Well, with this system, you're sort of always assumed to be traveling days at a time, even when you're in the not isolated, but the sort of actionable sequences of these caverns as they usually are.
Gotcha.
So don't think of a deep breath, or there's also just traveling from sector to sector will sort of reset what will usually reset depending on your role, your skills and whatnot. But don't think of it as, your adventuring day and then a long rest.
Right. And yeah, I think we bid adieu to the entity and continued on our way, last I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, and the so I think one of the clues we had was the kind of cityscape that we investigated was lots of different cultures throughout time, all melded together, almost like bleeding into each other.
Mhm.
And we weren't sure. We couldn't quite work out whether or not that was by design, or whether or not there was an issue, and that's why there all these different kind of structures were bleeding together.
Right.
Yes, unfortunately, you could not quite decipher an actual portal clue from it, but that could be useful information going forward. Right. Yeah, so anytime you think that information might be useful, you can bring that up, and I might give you some sort of bonus, or in the future, I might introduce some sort of twist that may harken back to that. But on top of that, while you were leaving the sort of crystalline entity geode sphere, they did leave you a parting gift of a
Yes.
large crystal that you can take with you. That seemed to be maybe one of them, maybe a remote remote brain of theirs. You're not entirely sure, but it is capable of limited sort of call and response.
Nice.
But I believe that just about covers everything. Of course, if you missed any of the previous episodes, feel free to go back. They are on YouTube, along with our previous series and more to come. But I think that is good enough for us to jump into today's episode of At Its Core. So, Dr. Dr. Undermoon and Dr. Daring, it's been a few days since you've begun your travels deeper and deeper into the Earth. Well past the crust at this point, getting into the mantle. It's slowly and steadily, temperatures have been rising. Though you've seen a number of strange things that have defied physics, so slight increase in temperature is the least of your concerns, I imagine. But you've been traveling for some time, continuing to see a few of those isolated deposits of these crystals, which will give a flash and a slight encouraging tone as you move past, but they are becoming more and more sparse as you continue on. Let's begin today. Who would like to take the lead in, well, leading the travel into the next sector?
I think that's Tal's turn.
I could do with the cards, to be honest. So yes,
You can do with the cards, really? I'm the one that spent how many cards on one of those?
I've got no cards left. So
Well, actually,
yes,
how many cards was it for an upgrade?
8.
8, right?
You have it, yeah,
Yeah,
if you want to also go down to 0 cards.
I didn't last time, and it screwed me in the long run. I'm going to use them. I will.
Okay.
Move them all back. So that's going to reduce or increase my stress level by 1, and I get to pick one stat to upgrade, right?
I believe that is the case. Let me just scroll down to that specific. Let's see, upgrading. Systems upgrade. You clear all of your stress.
Nice. Except for the 2 that I get just for being who I am.
But one of those is going to be refunded because you do increase your stress capacity by 1.
So I'm still at 2 stress, but it's not in the next tier of stress.
Correct. And now your
Gotcha.
new minimum is only 1 as opposed to 2.
Right.
Right. Take that.
What should I increase? Should I increase something I'm already good at, Tal, or should I increase something I'm bad at?
So I don't know, because I think that evade and think we seem to be using a lot of
It's true.
in what we're doing. So
So I can increase either of those to a D8.
yeah,
My weaknesses are make and break, which are D4s.
yeah.
Which makes sense for an anthropologist. We don't make or break anything.
See, my break's a D4 as well. Yeah.
Oh, your make is a D4?
No, my make's a D8 and my break is a D4.
Should I start increasing my break then?
Maybe. That's definitely our weak point.
Our weakness. All right, I'll increase my break to a D6. Now, does the use of it also increase to a D6 during this or not, Jack?
It does not reset any of your dice. No.
Gotcha. Okay. So my stress goes up and my break goes up to a D6.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. I'm gonna have to play around with your overlay, but we'll just do that for now. It's not perfect, but it is representative of what we need.
Yeah.
All right. So let's actually make sure that is in the right place. Tal, I am going to need a travel roll from you.
Yep.
So that is, as always, I believe it's dash plus a skill of your choosing, depending on how you would like to find your way further down.
So I'm going to go for dash and make. And I think the make part is probably he's probably building a database of all the different kind of side tunnels and different ways that this structure where we could be going, and he's concentrating on sort of the ones which don't go anywhere. He's managed to shut those off, so that we've got a clear understanding of the best way forward.
So that feels a little more like think to me. I know you're making a database, but it's not necessarily more physical building of things. I think creating a database is more structuring your knowledge.
Yes, that's cool. We use think then. So
yes, let's get some cards out then.
So I've got a D8 and a D6 to roll.
Good start. It's a good start. I like that start.
That's an ace of clubs, easy one, and 6 clubs.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I might be able to get these both then. So let's go with the D6 first of all.
Do every superstition. Well, you got one at least. What's your second dice?
A D8.
Oh, okay. So,
still
you just need a 4.
Yeah.
50-50. There you go.
D8. They do seem to be your dice, Tal.
Yeah. They are my dice. Yep.
All right.
They are the only ones that don't let me down.
All right. Go ahead and claim those 2 cards.
Cool. Thank you very much. Yes.
And
lovely.
For your travels, page 24. I'm glad I wrote this down.
Goes down to D4. Cool.
So, because you're taking a methodical approach to this, previously in your travels, you've noticed there, of course, many winding patterns that double back on each other, lead in directions that you don't necessarily want to go, just hit dead ends or become more annoying to get through than you would like. So it makes sense that at this point you are beginning to create some sort of map of the places that you've been, and using some of your remote sensors and even the Beepobop to probe ahead a little further and create a likely trajectory based on how the tunnels have formed.
Yeah, cool.
And given your specialization in old rocks, our geochronologist, you can use some of the seismic data that you have and some of the temperature readings
Nice.
and whatnot to really create a fairly thorough map of the places you've been and a decent level of accuracy projecting a short way forward to help you out doing this. So while it takes a little longer than if you were just barreling through, of course, that comes with its own dangers, but you manage to get through things quite easily. You don't run into any problems that you can't solve fairly easily, because when you get to a problem that looks like it may be more trouble than it's worth, a passage that has been blocked in some way, or you come across some strange flora or something, maybe come across more of those deep pools or pockets of gases or whatnot, you can easily backtrack and find a easier way down to where you're looking to go. The only thing I will say is that as you are traveling over the course of the next 30 days or so, the temperature is steadily rising as you continue to go deeper and deeper. Your suits are capable of surviving fairly high degrees, especially in the short term, but even in the long term, you're not in a danger zone at this point. But everybody can clear 2 stress, which I don't think anybody needs to do. I think you're both at minimum stress. And you can reset all of your skills to their maximum die.
Yes.
My question would be, is this just normal going into the depths heat, or do we think that there is some sort of unexplainable phenomenon doing this?
How would you like to find the answer to that question?
I would like to sway the area to tell me.
Right. You could try to do some information gathering yourself down here through, I don't know, thinking something, making something, or there is always the option of sensor deployment, which uses cards, which you currently don't have. Same with
What about
radioing back.
What about the limited talking crystal that we brought with us? Could you try and persuade it to let us know if it's been down here before, or has any
Is that up
knowledge
to
of this
Jack,
place?
or is that up to me?
So that is your portal clue, which will give you overall information into the nature of the entire phenomenon.
Cool.
I think because of how that interaction went, you really took your time talking to this entity. You were polite, you were engaging. You not only shared knowledge, but also demonstrated curiosity and didn't take offense when they gave you a number of responses, like, "Oh, you'll find out," or "We don't want to."
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
I didn't.
Yeah. So because that went so well, I will actually say that this being a portal clue, we'll call that a D6 as an item.
A D6.
Yeah, so you have that's 2 uses of it. It'll decrement to a D4, and then it'll decrement to a 0 and sort of turn off.
So sway and this item then
if you
would
like
work.
to use it, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Nice.
So that's going to be a D10 and a D6. All right, let's see how the cards are going to fuck with me.
We got an 8 of hearts.
Okay. Yeah.
And a king.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Big roll needed.
1D10 plus 1D6.
So that's an 8 and a 13.
What's my? Yeah. So what are my chances of getting this? I don't think I have a 50%. I think this is going to be worse than a 50%.
This is
But
a tough check to get both of them. The 8, I'm fairly certain you'll be able to make, but the king, that's going to be a tough one.
oh, I think I did it.
Yeah, I think you did.
Wow.
All right. A 7 and a 6, that's a
Wow.
meets and beats it. You've claimed those cards. Excellent.
Did you claim your cards there?
Yeah,
Hal?
yep. I got mine. Yep.
Okay.
Tal just moved
Wow.
down to the side.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Nice.
So,
Did not expect to get that.
No, neither did I.
yeah, this isn't me trying to be bad faith DM genie here, but what is the question you are asking?
I'm specifically asking if this particular heat increase is because of natural phenomenon of just going deeper into the earth, or if there's some other cause of this heat increase.
So you will begin to get back the same flashes and tonal sort of whatever response system you created before. I believe we were using a form of binary.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So you will get back this almost Adeptus Mechanicus binaric trill coming through this crystal, which can be translated through your suit, of course.
With my universal translator that I have.
Yes, indeed.
Like an old ZX Spectrum loading up a tape.
Told the great bell once, pull the lever forward to engage the piston and pump.
Natural phenomenon. I suppose that comes down to the advancements you have made in biology and deep geology. Given our conversation, I believe this temperature increase would be supported to an extent by your understanding of deep geothermal dynamics. And, well, there are biological components to it, though that may come as a surprise.
Yes, I believe that. Yes, that would be surprising. Biological, as in there's something else living down here,
There are many things living down here.
causing the heat specifically.
Not the primary cause of heat or creating that heat as their primary functionality.
I see.
Be warned,
Well, thank you very
however,
much.
the temperatures, I believe, will be dangerous to you. Crystal fades a bit as it seems to have regressed into some sort of power save mode or something.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, my dear doctor, it seems that we are just going to have to be a little bit more careful, aren't we?
Well, I mean, the problem is we don't really know what we're walking into. I mean, we knew that there's always going to be some issues. I'm just wondering if there's anything we can do to prepare ourselves against this potential heat increase. If our friend there is suggesting it could become dangerous to us. I don't know how difficult it would be to develop a heat shield or I don't know, something to help us survive if it becomes ridiculously hot.
I mean, Jack, my assumption to that would be that like any heat shielding that we would be able to make would be of the same quality as what's already in our suit, if not worse.
Well, because your suit needs to be of a weight that it can move. I mean, you still have it's still like a military grade exosuit that has servos and whatnot to assist in its movement. But it still had to be created light enough that it could, move with that assistance. And also having those sort of exposed joints for all of your movement creates areas of weakness there. I am not a material sciences thermodynamics expert by any means, but I think you could
Really?
create some sort of heat sink of some kind. That could be something as simple as just a real high quality grade, like thermal blanket for real minimal exposure, or you could create some, like, again, Adeptus Mechanicus X, like, big heat sink thing sticking out of you or something. I'm sure it could be done. You might also be able to reinforce your suits in a way, though that might come with, again, limited mobility, or other consequences.
Maybe it's something to think about if we travel further, that this could potentially become an issue for us. But well,
your
I
suits
guess as
are
long as we
your
keep
suits
an eye
are
on it.
rated for quite high temperatures. Now, you can't go swimming in a molten lake or anything.
Damn.
But a few hundred degrees, at least, shouldn't be a problem. Over, I think a few hundred degrees over the long would be pushing it. It was sort of assumed that you were going to be experiencing higher temperatures as you go deeper. So as long as you avoid the main source of the heat,
you should be okay.
Yeah.
Something to bear in mind, I feel.
But if you would like to create something, there are, of course, you have your 3D printer. There's the prepare role, make plus a certain skill. Of course, you could just continue on until you actually come across the problem you need to solve.
Yeah, I think that's our best bet, because I don't want to lose mobility up until then.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, something to be aware of.
Yeah,
we will be vigilant, and I guess what we could probably do is just ensure that's one of the key things we keep an eye out for on our sensors. Just an extra bit of an awareness that it might become an issue for us.
All right. Well, again, over the next couple weeks of travel, and they're not entirely uneventful, insignificant days of travel. We see a montage of you having to rappel and jump across cliffs and
What's the song title for said montage?
Right. I don't know. But while we are doing that, before we get to our next main sector, this crystal does regain the glow that it had, its luminance, and I would imagine, Dr. Daring, that you will take some time. Again, maybe not necessarily questioning it and engaging it on a consistent level, or a purposeful level, but perhaps a muttering to yourself or muttering to the crystal, musing back and forth, maybe a level of meditation. I should leave this to you to describe, actually, but I think we should try to decipher the portal knowledge before we move on.
But yeah, definitely anytime the crystal wants to talk, Daring is going to be like, oh, yeah.
Well, it means you don't have to talk to me, and that's obviously
right.
Daring doesn't have any problem talking to you, and I think it's the other way around.
It's the other way around, yeah. 100%.
And for the first time in a while, after speaking with that entity, the voices that you have been hearing most of your journey down here seem to have retreated.
Sad.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we can get them back, because you now need to make an understanding check, which is think plus some other skill that would help you decipher this information.
That's where it's going to get tricky.
Think Well, again, I'm talking to this thing, right? So
Yeah.
I think sway would make the most sense.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent
Yeah.
use of sway.
So that's a D6 and a D8. Let's see what I get for
Cards.
my difficulty.
Right. Let me just
What have we got?
get this out of the way, and let's see. We have
Okay.
a 7 of clubs
Mm,
and a 3 of
No.
diamonds. Fairly
Okay,
easy
I'm okay with
cards.
that.
not bad.
Okay.
Not bad. Come on.
10.
Oh, yes.
All right. Go ahead and claim both of them.
Great
That was
result.
a 3 and a 7 for a total of 10. Okay. Now I need you to roll me a d6.
6.
Would you like to be the tens place or the ones place?
What did I pick last time? I think I picked 10s last. I'll take singles this time.
Okay. Stack over 1d6. So that is a 26.
You die.
You get eaten.
All right.
Yeah.
So once again, this is a very sort of player-forward narrative game. So this is a question that I am going to be asking you. What kind of beings or entities reside within the portal? The portal at presumably the core of the Earth. What is this crystal telling you about what exists? Maybe not lives. Maybe they're not sentient creatures. But what exists inside that portal?
God. Okay. Can I
Giant
beg
question.
you? No. No. Can I beg you to think about this? Really, really think about what you're about to say and the consequences.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all I ask.
I'm wondering why you seem so on edge about me answering this question.
I don't know. I don't know why. Yeah, 20-foot Eldridge monster. No, just have a little deep breath and just have a little think about it.
You want me to say little marshmallow men? Like, what is it that you would like me to say here?
Little Stay Puft Marshmallow Men.
Yeah.
I think I can't work with
No.
that.
It's completely your choice. I'm just just have a little think.
Tal, I think you have an unconscionable fear of eldritch things that exist in the universe, and I don't understand why.
Why would I?
You're good friends with one, and I'm very sad that this is the kind of outlook you have. So how much detail do you want? Do you want like vagaries, or do you want like this is what this thing is?
This is your second portal clue. So I would say on a scale from 1 to 10, make this about 3 vague.
So on more the vague side.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've already established that there was some sort of battle that occurred between humanity and whatever these things are, right?
Conflict, maybe a warning or a memorial of war, strife, disagreement, or discord is what we got.
I'm going to give you a word. And I'm going to say that I think you can do a lot with this word. Enlighteners.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can work with that. Enlighteners.
Does that please you, Tal? Does that make you happy? Okay.
Yeah,
They're the ones that light lamps in old London town.
They're just big. They're just like light bulbs that circle around. Yeah. Exclamation points on the tops of NPCs, personified.
Enlighteners. Okay, that's cool. I like that.
Yes, so throughout your travels, your little bits of conversation you can have with this crystal, the sort of one-sided musings you have with the crystal as well, perhaps some dreams, perhaps some meditations. Things just seem a little clearer now. I'm not exactly sure why, but you're making connections that you didn't previously. Nothing huge, nothing mind-boggling. But if we were in a system where you had an arbitrary number associated with intelligence, it would have increased to a degree. So, we will add that to our portal clues sheet here and move on. So after, again, about another month's journey or so, and this is cumulative, as you've been walking this entire way since the previous chamber, it's been getting up there. We've been hitting 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 100, 110, 130. Now, your suits are able to maintain a very comfortable temperature inside, so you guys are fine. And these temperatures are easily enough that the suit can withstand even over extended periods. 150 starts to level out around 180 degrees or so. It is quite hot down here.
So it's basically gets to the point where we just never take our helmets off again. Okay.
You do have a shelter that you can piece together and create. It is pressure sealed, airtight, and you can hook up your suits as sort of external air conditioners. So you can, when you want to call it a day, go and rest in your tent.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, especially if the temperature's leveled out and the suits themselves aren't getting stressed underneath that temperature, then I don't see why we would stop.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a pause for me to collect my thoughts, actually, not prompting you to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize.
So you are traveling down. It sort of levels off around 180 degrees Fahrenheit, which about 82 Celsius. I'll keep my converter handy. You start noticing there is actually, despite the increased temperature, a lot more moisture around the walls, the floors, the ceilings of this cavern. The stalactites and stalagmites are getting a bit more pronounced. Sometimes you have to really maneuver around them. The walls are slick. Every now and then you come across small rivulets leading downward. Nothing to what you've been through before where you actually had to dive in and swim underwater anywhere. But you also begin to notice these sort of thin pink filaments sort of weeding out between crevices in the rock. I'm sure you do all the science stuff, take note of them.
Are these liquid filaments or are they like solid
They are
rock?
solid.
Like,
well,
okay.
They're not. It's something sticking out of a rock. At first, you think it's a root.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you've come across some flora down here, some unusual flora. It could just be something like that. But, unless...
What's its... Does it have a reaction when touched?
Actually, yes. If you reach out and just sort of poke it with your finger, it will wrap around.
I don't think I would poke it with my finger. I think it would have
Poke it with something.
Daring is not... Daring's not a simpleton. He might be a little eccentric. Yeah, he would definitely use some sort of prodder to like poke at it with.
A poking rod.
Yeah.
3D print yourself a poking rod.
Yeah.
And you guys have any number of little gizmos and gadgets and sensors.
Yeah. I would say that the even just the suit itself would have some sort of like probe.
Yeah.
Already on it.
But yes, whatever you use to poke at it, it will wrap around.
And does it fight when I try to pull it away, or is it just?
If it does, it doesn't have the strength for you to really
notice.
Recognize it. Yeah.
I think that this would cause at least Daring to stop to study it a bit. God, it's been so long. I'm trying to remember some of the mechanics of this game. Can I call for a portal clue on this?
I think we're a little too early to call for a portal clue. This is kind of your first data point of this new zone.
Gotcha. No problem.
Have you tried exposing it to different light spectrums, Doctor?
No. And he will take that offer and begin doing that.
Sure. I mean, that's simple enough. I'm not going to require a roll. I'm sure you have some sort of advanced flashlight torch that can emit light in various different spectra. You don't notice any difference, really. Except perhaps towards the end, as you are cycling through a number of different light spectrums, it does seem to sort of perk up.
So, like, towards the end of the visible spectrum, it begins to perk up?
Yes.
Okay.
But even then, you can ratchet it down to the lower end of visible light spectrum, and it's still kind of reaching out in that direction.
Are we saying? Are we going towards ultraviolet or infrared where it starts picking up?
You are moving towards ultraviolet, though again, ratcheting it back down to the lower light spectrum, back closer to infrared. It didn't droop back or anything.
Okay.
Piecing it together, it's probably simply responding to the heat coming off of the torch.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So it's not specifically because of the light, but because of the heat of the light. Gotcha.
Seems to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I wonder if it has a capacity to eat, or even knows what eating is. And I kind of tap into my 3D printer and
create a flamethrower.
No.
Burn it with the Emperor's fire.
I will print out a piece of raw beef, just like a sliver.
Okay.
And just kind of
very well or very badly.
I'd tentatively put it onto like the end of a prodding stick and go.
Well, now that you've introduced it to the taste of delicious flesh.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. It's like, oh, I like this stuff.
Just under his breath, he's just singing songs from Little Shop of Horrors to himself.
Yeah, that's a small enough and simple enough item. I'm not going to make you roll for a full 3D print creation. You can sort of shish kebab that on the end of one of your poking prod devices, sort of hold it out. It doesn't seek it out. Okay. If you touch it against this tiny root-like filament, it will again wrap around. It doesn't seem to do anything more than that, though. It doesn't look like it's actively moving. It doesn't look like it's trying to take it. It may just be some sort of very rudimentary biological, mechanical, like a Venus flytrap. It, you hit here and it grabs. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
But you pull it away after a little bit of time, and you notice there is some scoring along where it did wrap around, as if this filament is more than slightly acidic.
I guess I would suggest to dear Doctor. Crap. What is it again? Moon?
Undermoon.
Undermoon.
Undermoon. To grab a sample, perhaps, in a glass tube. Glass is resistant to acid, yeah. So, like, if we have, yeah. If we let's see if we separate it from like the main strain of it, see what happens. Go ahead, bud. What are you giving me that look for? Don't give me that look.
Is there any way to tell if it is interconnected with anything else, as it were? So is it like the vine of a plant, or like the horrific finger of something? Is there any way of kind of scanning to see whether or not there are fibrous connections which lead to something horrible?
Is this Jack? Just tell them if it's bad or not.
Right. I will say, just to not create more red herrings, you could probably use some level of like very light electricity. I'm trying to think of how you determine, and I think you could, send like a real low level of through it and see how far it travels. I don't know. Something like that. You have, like I said, any number of scientific gizmos that you can use. You do get the sense that these are all connected. All these little filaments sticking out of the rock are all connected.
Yeah, that's okay. That's not.
But when you sort of bother one of them, the others don't really react in any way. Now, you've not tried, chopping it off, but.
I do think that this is some kind of interconnected species. I don't know if making an incision of any sort is a good idea. Difficult to tell how vast this thing might be, and well, we have seen some strange things down here.
Oh, you're being very unfun right now. Well, if you don't see any scientific inquiry that you wish to pursue with this, I suggest we move on.
All right.
Yes, I think we should move on.
Well, continuing further down into the depths, you see you have plenty more chances should you like to investigate this more, because as you go deeper and deeper, they become more and more prolific. To the point where, actually, it was a slow build-up, but you realize most of the wall is now covered with these worm-like pinkish-gray filaments.
Is it this floor as well, or
It's
just
the
the walls
floor
and the
as well.
ceiling?
And you notice as you take a step, you do have to, there's no way to not step on them. As you take a step forward, the ones that you step on do just wrap around your boots. You can lift your foot up, they're not strong enough to hold you down, but every footstep, they wrap around. And then
Is there any scoring that is occurring on the boots from them?
Good question.
Not noticeably one by one, but as you continue on, after a day, 2, 3 of this, you notice that there are little, they almost look like scratches on your boots
Yeah.
until you look further, and they are these acidic filaments stripping away the paint. It would probably take a long while for them to do any considerable damage to the actual structure. They're mostly just stripping off the paint at this point. But you do continue on until the entire surface of this tunnel is just coated with this turf of pink gray filaments. It almost looks like grass if you didn't know better. And then, as you've almost come to expect, the tunnel opens up into a cavern again, and your instruments are reading closer to 200 degrees Celsius. Or 93 Celsius, 200 Fahrenheit. Apologies.
Yeah, I was about to say
Yeah,
200 Celsius.
that's a big jump. Yeah. 200 Fahrenheit, 93 Celsius. But the cavern opens up, and it's gradually at first. It goes from a tunnel to a sort of wider area to a tunnel again, and a sort of wider area. And as you're going, you do get that sort of squelching sound under your boot. As if there is a layer of maybe soil, maybe it's just the concentration of these filaments, but the moisture has built up, and you are starting to get that squelching noise.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
But eventually, you find yourself at the mouth of an incredibly large cavern, the largest you've come across to up to this point. In fact, you don't even recognize it as a cavern. You step out and you see an ocean. Except the water, if it is water, is red. Now, before we go too far, it's not thick, it's not blood red. It's more of a sort of really cheap red wine red. A rosé, perhaps. But you
sorry to all you rosé lovers out there.
Right. But you are on the now strangely carpeted overcropping, looking out into what looks like you could have walked out of a cave on the sides of the White Cliffs of Dover. Is it? You are just looking out at water.
And we can't kind of see the opposite side of this.
You can't see the opposite side, but you can see a ways into this underground sea, underground ocean. There's islands. There's at least a small archipelago here in this water. You'd imagine that this cavern has to be miles and miles and miles in diameter, because there is actual surf down here. It's not.
Wow.
It's not too large. It's not too dangerous, but there is motion to the water down here.
So I'm sure Dr. Undermoon would be fully aware of this, but there are several lakes that exist in the world that are vastly different color because of some sort of mineral or otherwise within it.
Indeed.
My assumption is that we will be at least trying to assuage what that red coloring is. This is water, but it is colored weird, right?
How would you like to?
I think we need.
I think this is a towel. No. This is Undermoon stuff. You know what?
Yep, no,
this is rock stuff.
I do think that let's get some water samples, and let's determine what this liquid is made of. So yeah, so he'll fish into his kit and kind of look for, you know, some test tubes or something where he can collect some samples in order to analyze it and see what this water is actually made of.
Okay. I do want you to make a roll for this, actually.
Cool.
So you're focusing on you just want to get a water sample and test it in various ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But we're up on a how close are we to the actual water itself? Is it like down a steep cliff or
There's
we-
a ledge that you have to navigate through. Certain areas are thinner than others. You can tack on and sort of sideways rappel. You can get down to the water's edge.
because I was thinking that maybe rather than head down there just yet, maybe I could construct almost like a fishing line where I could, you know, cast out something to gain a sample and pull it back in rather than expose ourselves to what might be down there. I don't want to kind of land on the beach and suddenly, you know. So that's so I guess it would kind of like, I'm thinking kind of like a make check maybe to create a very simple casting system.
Yeah.
To collect my samples with.
All right. Yeah, make plus whatever else feels right.
Probably think I would.
Yeah, think makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
right.
What cards have we got?
I have 4 of hearts, and
Yep.
I got to.
Is it that time?
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh wow.
How do we do this on roll 20? All cards are in play. There are no cards to shuffle because I have this huge discard pile that I need to.
Now that the cards have been shuffled, that means that we all level up, right? Is that how that works?
No. Let's see. Can I just delete them and they go back to the deck? Is that how that works? It's not really a discard. Not the best card-based VTT. Roll 20. So we're gonna try just deleting them. Does that work? If I reshuffle, yeah, that'll do that. All right, let me quickly just get rid of all of these cards. Obviously, there are more of them than I expected because it is 7 cards minus of a whole deck.
Yep.
All right, we're getting to the end of the pile here. There we go. All right, shuffle.
Cool.
Shuffle. So a 4 of hearts and an 8 of diamonds.
Well, I have got so my make is 8 and my think is 10. So let's do the D8 first. Oh,
Betrayed by the D8. That's a 1.
Okay.
And a 9 on the D10. All right.
D10 comes in.
Claim your cards.
Ooh.
I'm trying to stress you guys out. All right.
No stress here. We're cool cucumbers.
We're cool.
You can
Excellent.
You can very easily just create, extra strong fishing rod and attach a vial and some sensors to it and slowly dip it down into the water. You do notice as you try to reel it back in, however, there is a bit of resistance that you weren't expecting. But it's not enough that you can't pull it out. I'm sure you've been fishing at one point.
Yeah.
Almost feels like something caught the line until you reel it out of the water and all. But you reel it back up and you have your sample. You can put that through, again, any number of scientific analyzers. It comes back with a number of error messages. Again, you remember your Beepo Bop, your suits analytics, your rudimentary AI has, on a number of occasions at this point, come across things that it cannot, that don't fit the predefined parameters of its sensors and its logic circuits and whatnot. But it appears to be mostly water with a little bit of what you would classify as man-made oils. Like almost like industrial level, like race car level motor oils, or the type of lubricant and antifreezes and liquid heat sinks that you would find in like top grade scientific devices. Things that, to your knowledge, don't occur in nature, but who knows down here. You also find that you are detecting life in here. There are tiny microscopic brilliant red aquatic organisms in here.
Great.
The water is also slightly caustic, slightly acidic. Probably, where's my acid chart here? It seems to be sitting around a pH of about 3, which is on par with a cola, basically.
Is it reporting as to any known bacterial diseases?
No.
Okay.
Is it multicellular or single cellular?
It is multicellular, but they are microscopic.
Too bad neither of us are biologists.
It would have been helpful.
As you are looking through the readings of this, I assume you put a glass cork in it or something to keep everything stable. You can see the redness of this liquid. You don't notice it at first. Actually, the liquid seems to get redder as you're analyzing it. And then that color seems to fade from the bottom and increase at the top. And then move above the liquid line inside this vial. And then start wrapping around the glass cork you put into it, glass stopper you put into it.
Oh.
And then start pushing out through the top of this glass.
No.
And moving around.
Okay.
I would like you to make me an evade roll. Which is evade plus something.
He tried to evade it for so long.
Awesome. Right. Okay.
I didn't even have to prompt him to do this time. This was all him.
But why? Okay. What have we got? Okay. So my evade is a D6. What would make sense?
Dash.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking, well, no, I was thinking that as in kind of like, oh, just get it away from me.
Basically, yeah. All right, let's see the cards.
Double D6 then. Come on.
We got a 5 of spades and
not good.
A 4 of clubs. All right.
Okay.
Fairly easy cards.
So first D6.
It's a 2. And a 6. All right. Play both of your cards. Fine.
Fine.
Yeah, no.
Tal, how do you get rid of this vial that is escaping the
Oh.
vial.
It is a he's not a sports guy, but
Perfect
it-
spiral.
yeah, it is like he's somehow summoned up some kind of sportsmanship, and he just launches this as far away from them as possible.
All
It's a
right.
proper kind of wind up.
You lob it into the lake in front of you, sploosh. And it does actually, it sinks into this liquid and then bobs back up at the top. And you can see some of the redness at the surface of the water actually begins to filament out and reach up around the glass and separate the tube from the stopper. And the liquid flows out, and then the glass sinks down underneath the liquid.
Was it trying to? Is it one organism that it was trying to get back together? I'm no expert on these things, but I would suggest that we don't get into that water.
Well, that might be difficult because water.
Yeah.
You can see islands as, going as far out as you can, as far your light will project.
I mean, so what do we got so far? That there is something that this water is slightly acidic and that it does have some sort of pull. Like it does, like there is some resistance, right?
I will also add that the water temperature was in excess of 550 degrees.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're not getting in that water.
Or about 290 Celsius. That is, your suit could manage that for short durations, but you probably don't want to swim.
Nope. Okay. How far out is the nearest set of islands?
Not terribly far, probably half a kilometer.
Oh, okay.
Doing some minor research. Give me one moment.
We'll see if your minor research embarrasses my minor research.
I'm kind of thinking, how do we get? Doctor, do you have any thoughts on how we might, avoid this?
So my thought is currently, and this is out of game tell, or not out of game, but out of character.
Yeah.
That there is high temperature silicone rubber that can withstand around up to 600 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Perhaps a boat is in order. A little bit of sailing. It might take some time to create said boat, but
Yeah. What about like a like the I can't remember I don't know what they're actually called, but where you slide down a like a rope at high speeds. Do you know what I mean?
in what aspect? Like, so I'm sliding now. What are you talking? What do you
Like
mean?
a
So
zipline?
like, yes, thank you. Zip
Okay.
line.
I was just thinking about like rope burn as you go down.
Yeah, no, like a zip line of some sort.
Unfortunately, I think the zip line. You said this is a couple of kilometers out. Is the closest island?
It's roughly half a kilometer away.
Half a.
Yeah. Roughly.
Yeah, that would be a hell of a.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, you
long.
can. That's half a kilometer is
Can't do that.
you like 1,600 feet. I don't think we can fashion a gun, a harpoon gun of some sort to launch that far, if that's what you were thinking.
No, but we could get the Bebop
Oh.
to fly it out there.
The difficulty
Right.
with that would be getting it affixed into something that would create,
Yeah.
a
Actually hold it,
counterweight.
yeah.
That would actually hold it. The Bebop doesn't have that amount of
Yeah, no, yeah.
force
No,
application.
I really don't want to get in a boat.
Oh, I'm listening.
I really don't.
I'm listening if you have another idea. I mean, the other idea that just popped into my head, this one's a lot sillier, but it is an idea, is that we fashion some sort of glider. And since there's heat coming up from this lake, it'll give us lift and we can try to guide down. But that would be one hell of a glider, considering these suits are probably pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And the cabin's really tall, isn't it? So we can't see the top of the cabin, can we?
No.
Okay, so we can't can't do pitons.
I mean, you could,
Oh,
rock climb up and try to see how high the ceiling is.
yeah, which is worse? Potentially falling from from like a massive ceiling, or getting in a boat.
Soon may the Wellerman come. Come on, Tal. You don't want to sing sea shanties on a red colored
No, I really don't. No, I really don't.
Oh well.
Okay, so the tent that we have, the kind of is it see-through, or is it like a,
Well, let's call it a constructible habitat as opposed to a tent. Because it needs to be able to survive temperature and pressure and who knows what else. It's not flexible material. There is probably
that's what
like translucent titanium, the same stuff your helmet is made out of, but it's not all that flexible.
So we couldn't turn it into like one of those Zorbs that we could get in and kind of run across in it.
It would take some major modifications to be able to do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Do you have thoughts on what this boat might be, the construction of this boat? And
I'm thinking whitewater raft type situation, basically made out of high temperature resistant material.
I just think it's such a bad idea.
It is a bad idea. I'm not dismissing that it's a bad idea. I don't see any other way, though. Unfortunately, I would love the idea of gliding over this thing, but that's not going to work. The zip line thing doesn't seem to work. Unless our 3D printers can make industrial size jetpacks, which I'm not going to try to pass as an idea. I think the boat is probably our only bet.
Yeah, the more sophisticated you try to make this, the more cards are going to be required in order to do so. Now, you guys have a good amount of cards to you. Let me just go ahead and double check.
And I don't think 3D printing a silicone raft is going to take a lot. Like, that's a pretty simple construct.
Yeah, a basic boat, I would say, you're going to need to win at least one card, but that's easy enough. I mean, even if you don't win any simple raft, it just might not be as good on the water as you can make it. But of course, the more cards you ante up, the more cards you win. The better the item can be. I mean, if you want to throw out four, might be helicopter thing or something, but that's a lot of cards, a lot of fate to check.
Sometimes the simplest option is the best option.
Okie dokie. Time to bring out some old sea shanty. All right, so yeah, definitely making a boat and some oars, I guess.
Yeah.
Out of some basically high temperature silicone. Is there any? The only question I would have for this is is the temperature of this giant lake stable 500 degrees? Or are we noticing, at certain points it's hotter, or that there are fluctuations or anything like that we would have to worry about?
You can only check so far out. Even sending Undermoon's Beat Boop Bop out to poke and prod in different areas, it looks like it's fairly consistent. Just going off of however you determine underwater stuff, sonar and thermal sciences, stuff I don't know anything about, you can determine that there does seem to be underwater currents to this, and there are isolated pockets that are hotter, probably closer to 600 degrees, but they're relatively isolated.
Okay.
Probably
Even at that point, the silicone's not going to just melt immediately. Like it starts to degrade at 600. So
yeah, you'll have that warning.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Well, I think it's time to make a boat, Tal.
Yeah, I think.
Look how excited he is, everybody.
No, I know what's going to happen.
Do you now?
What? Well, I fear what's going to happen.
That's impressive, because I don't even know what's going to happen now.
What cards have you got? You've got a king in there, haven't you?
I do have a king in here. I have an 8, a king, a 7, and a 3. No suits are the same. I have all suits.
Why can't I for some reason I can't. Cards. I don't know why. Why?
Because you didn't take them, you just put them to the side.
Yeah, you just moved them to the side.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay, that's probably why. Probably. There you go. I'll take that card. Stupid boy.
Stupid boy.
I've got. Yeah. Okay.
So what do we need to spend for a boat, did you say?
You have to win at least one card. It is up to you how many you would like to sort of ante up. The more you get, the more sophisticated it can be. You add additions on as you go.
Yeah.
So one is just basic silicone boat, and then maybe I just increase its durability. I don't I don't want to make a motor. Let's just
no, it doesn't need
keep
to
this simple. Yeah.
So the boat will allow you to float on the water. And it will be made out of heat-resistant materials and generally caustic-resistant. Other known obstacles are the fact that this seems to be teeming with some sort of microbial life that is able to climb and move of its own free will. So whether or not you think that's a major concern or how you might go about addressing the concern might be some degree of addition that would require more cards.
I will say that the idea of the raft that I'm thinking of, the whitewater raft, it's very hard. Like you need hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds upon hundreds of pounds of pressure to try to pull that thing under. It's gonna be there's got to be something in there that we just do not see and don't have any information on to grab this thing and pull it down.
That's my concern.
Yeah, but I don't see a way. I don't see a way to move around that.
No.
If that happens, that's just going to happen. We don't have a way to avoid that currently. The best I can think of is maybe making the maybe making the blades of the paddle sharp so we can like slide it across the boat to wipe away some of these tendrils. Like windshield wipers, basically. But like I don't see any other move forward on that really. So what I will say is I will 2 cards each, because that I think at that point, if we do 2 cards each, that's going to be that's a solid fucking boat.
So what's the highest card? I'm just really, for some reason I can't. I've got some of my cards, but not all of them.
So I'll give up my king and I'll give up my 8, which are my 2 highest cards.
Okay, I've got an 8 as well.
So
And
there's no rule in the book saying you can't team up for this. But I think the rules as intended is that this is a check that a character
one of
makes.
us does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Understood.
You've got better cards than me then, so
Yeah, I'll do the king and the 8.
yeah.
Yeah, a player may lay down cards.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to build 2 separate things, I would say if you want to focus on, if one of you boat and one of you focus on something else and then you later combine the 2, I would say that would be fine. But you can't team up to make the boat and then extra successes add on.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about this? What if you make the boat and I maybe make some kind of, and it's something we've used already when we scared off the cat, like a sonic disruptor type thing?
Do we know if sound even affects this stuff?
No, but I'm thinking it might.
Well,
Do
that's
we maybe
easy enough
want
to
to
check.
test?
That's easy enough.
Yeah,
to
we
check.
can.
You can.
Yeah, let's
let's
test
check
before
that,
we
yeah.
start spending cards on it.
Yeah, you can drop some sort of noisemaker into this, and sound doesn't seem to be something that they really respond to one way or another.
Okay, so that then. What about small electrical charges? Let's test that and see whether or not that has an impact on them.
Okay. Do I want to make you roll for this test? Because again, I mean, you can just attach it to your fishing pole and throw a little battery or something down into there. Yeah, I think this is another make plus think roll.
Yep, I can do that. Right. So what am I on for those? I am on make plus think. D6
and DI. These are your cards you put in the
D8
card box.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let me just move those down out of the way.
I didn't say you could touch my cards.
Too bad.
Damn it.
I'm the GM. These are all my cards.
No.
Okay.
All right. You got a Jack, which is an 11, and a 3 to beat.
Yep. Okay. So I've got a D6 and a D8. So let's go D6 first. 3. Oof. Come on, big 8.
You and these D8s. That's another 8 on a D8.
One did give him a 1 at one point, so he can't be too. It's either 1 or 8, it seems.
Yeah. That's all I get.
Well, with the last session, I think this is your 4th or 5th 8 on a D8 out of like 5 or 6 rolls.
Yep.
Go ahead and claim those cards. You can pretty much immediately use them on your 3D printing check if you would like. So you can, you drop a little battery or some sort of electrode-like thing down in there. Yes, with a sufficiently high voltage, the microbial life does begin to move away from it. So you would need to, in order for you to make use of this finding, you would need to be able to pump some pretty high electricity through the preferably exterior of the boat.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Fortunately, if you're making this out of like a high grade rubber plastic, it's those materials tend to be fairly electrically inert.
They are, but if your idea is to like somehow make it so that there's a charge that goes through it, then you're going to have to wrap the thing with metal or something.
Yeah.
And that's not going to work well with the acidity of the water. So
I was thinking more. I guess I was thinking more of. I know exactly what I'm thinking of. You know the Shocker from Spider-Man. He has like almost like these knuckle dusters which produce electric shocks. And I'm thinking maybe if we have one of those each, if anything comes above the line, we can just
punch the water away.
Punch the water away, yeah.
That's an option.
Just start punching the water like was it Xerxes?
Yeah.
That's a relatively non-sophisticated item. You know, 1 card win. I mean, even on a 0, to give you something like a little shock baton.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to actually incorporate it in the boat, which I think you could do with some sort of like insulated metallic ribbing, but that would require more cards.
What do you think is better?
What are my choices?
So either we get like a couple of punch gloves, or we actually modify the boat somehow to run an electrical current underneath it.
So my thought here is that the boat itself is, if something is big enough to pull this thing underwater, I don't think an electrical charge that we can like rig to the boat is going to do jack. Because again, these boats take a lot to capsize and pull underwater.
Now, are you talking like a whitewater rafting raft, or are you talking like a kayak that you're sort of cinched into?
No, I'm talking about whitewater raft.
Okay.
Like they take like they're made so they just do not go underwater. And it's very hard to like flip them, which are my main concerns. So I would suggest the gloves, honestly.
Okay, let's do the gloves.
All right. Well, because the cards were already there, the eye for Dr. Daring. So you're sticking with 2 cards.
I need to do that.
I'm sticking with 2 cards to the boat, yes.
All right. Let me move those down, and we will compare to my 2 card flips. So King versus a 10. So you win that one. And 8 versus a 9.
Oof.
You did not win that one. So all of these cards get deleted. They have all been used. And you have 1 success on that, which is enough for you to... It's enough to make the boat. No fancy additions, but you have this raft.
And I will put up my jack.
All right.
Just do 1.
Just the 1 card. So we have a jack compared to good chances, a 2. All right. You can make your shock punch gloves.
Not sophisticated, but it doesn't need to be sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think at this point you can just create a number of little electrode things that you just sort of wrap around the existing gloves of your suit.
Yep.
I mean, it could easily just be as simple as plugging a piece of metal into your suit and wrapping it around your fist, connecting the circuit, and yeah, there you go. All right. Easy enough. You can get down to the water's edge, slide this raft on in.
I don't like it.
I assume you also made paddles too. I'm not going to, make you roll extra for those, but you have oars. Yeah.
I don't like this. I don't like this one little bit.
Dr. Undermoon, you're going to take a point of stress because you sound stressed.
Yes, I am. I accept that.
Okay, you can hop in your raft and begin paddling out.
Just under his breath. This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea.
Yeah. All right. Now, I'm not entirely certain that this game really has like a teamwork check. So I think that would fall under the advantage system. I think we'll go with that. So who would like to be the lead rower here? You don't really need to navigate. It's wide open except for all of these islands that you're trying to get to.
Well, I would say since dear Dr. Daring has lives in a commune somewhere, most likely. Yeah, guessing he does a lot of rafting and boating. So I'm gonna take the lead on that. I think.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Currently, except for my think, I'm on a D4 for everything.
Already,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm stuffed.
I have a D8 in dash and a D6 in evade, or I think those would work for just boating.
Those would work.
So yeah.
All right, you have a Jack of Clubs, which is a big ask, and a 7 of Diamonds. Not easy
So
cards.
slash roll 1d8 plus
Come on, lucky
1
D8.
d6. Don't Cal, you just jinxed me. You just did it.
No.
Yep, see? Yep. I knew it. I knew you jinxed me.
Yep.
Oh.
That is a 1 on the D8. Apparently, these D8s only have 2 numbers. And a 6, which is great for a D6 roll, but
I will take my card.
Yeah.
I can't believe you did that, Tal. I can't believe you did that.
I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Okay. So we are getting deeper into the earth, deeper into the game. Stakes are increasing. You begin rowing, and I assume it takes both of you to do this. But Dr. Daring, you are calling out, row, however you would like to do it until you get into a good rhythm. Knowing from experience, it is actually quite difficult to get people to row in sync, especially if you're trying to turn. But you do begin moving over the surface of this water, and it starts out slow. It starts out concerningly slow because the water does seem to be gripping onto the boat. You're not just moving the water with your paddles. You're pushing against a force in the water that seems to... You're not sure if it's trying to pull you under yet, or if it's trying to keep you stable, or if it's just there. But you are forcing your way through more than just liquid. But you slowly begin to pick up the pace. And I think you're so intent on watching the edges of this raft, looking at the islands in front of you, make sure you're going in the right direction, making sure you're bracing yourself for the little bit of turbulence in the water that exists. And you don't realize your oars have slowly gotten redder and redder as this red moves up the handles, paddles. And then your suits both give you warnings. Warning. Danger. Compromised seals detected. Dangerous caustic material detected. and you realize your hand has these tendrils of red, wettish gunk on them.
Okay.
And flashing up in your HUDs, there's a rudimentary depiction of like a glove with the joints of the glove flashing red. Again, weak points because they need to be able to remain modal. You both take a point of stress.
Oh. Okay. Ugh.
You will be able to get to the island with this roll, but this red is creeping up on you.
Can I activate my gauntlet? However, to kind of discharge an electric pulse across.
Yeah. So this is going to be a confront check, which is break
Awesome.
plus something. And
Okay,
I will say, because this is affecting both of you, either both of you could roll, or one of you could, punch the wet off of both of you.
Just starts using all of his pent up rage to get this stuff off of me.
Okay. Oh, this is not good.
Dr. Daring's like, thank you for the help. And Dr. Undermoon's like, shut up.
So break plus I guess think that as in I'm trying to spot, the weakest points in this organism where I can punch it.
You're not just whacking on each other.
Yeah.
I will also remind you, since you seem to be down on your dice, you can choose to take a breath here, but it is an automatic complication even. But that would reset all of your skills back to their max.
Oh, okay. Do I take the risk? Man. Do I take the risk? Do I take the risk? I am going to take the risk.
All right.
I'm going to just roll.
Okay, you're not taking the deep breath. You're just going to roll.
No.
All right.
Yep.
Then you have.
You might reconsider depending on the cards.
Yeah, I suppose you can choose. I show you the cards.
Oh.
So that's a 7, which is something,
Yep.
but also an ace, which you're automatically going to get.
So I've got a 4 and a 6. If I want to,
I think it's a little less than 50, but not by much.
4.
You can also.
I'm going to discard.
Yes.
I'm going to discard my ace and my 4. Get +1 to my roll.
Yes, you do.
Okay, right. 4 and a 6. Okay, let's start with the 4.
That's 2.
Average.
4, 5, 6,
And
7.
4 for 6 plus 1 is 7. You squeeze through. Yeah. Those 2 boost cards came in clutch. All right, go ahead and claim those cards. Yes, you realize these microbes, whatever they are, whether they're intelligent or whether or not they are just naturally finding the weakest point. I think the easiest thing for you to do is really just interlace fingers and charge up your shot gloves, and that's going to get a good number of them off. You can even sort of Yeah, you can shock them off of yourself, kind of wipe them away. The exterior of your suit is, especially inside this mode, is able to handle that amount of electricity in shorter bursts. And then you can go over and start, punching away, swiping away these microbes from your colleague here.
Nice. Yep. That is what I will do.
And while you do so, Dr. Daring, you are able to get to the first shore and pull the raft up on top of it. Now, let me ask a question, because we are 8:45, and we usually only run till about 10.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a. I always find it difficult to get through more than one big section of a narrative in a single session. So, my question is: do we want to push through and really dive into this sector, wrap things up, and try to more expediently move on to the next sector?
Unfortunately, I do have to take a break. So.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to take a break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think?
Say tomorrow. I don't think so, unfortunately.
What are you thinking? Do we wrap this one up, or
Let's go on a break. This is a good spot for a
Yeah.
break,
Yeah, that's
and we
probably
can
fine.
discuss
Yeah.
this over break.
Yeah.
And come back and
Cool.
decide whether we're gonna play in this hot lake for the full episode or move on. Well, I am glad you guys seem to be really diving, pun intended. And we will see what we pick up. This game, it just has so much narrative candy that you get to really eat, you get to really play with. Very evocative game.
Amazing.
All the stuff in the back end. So I haven't plugged it yet. Do go check out Substratum Protocol game by Pandion. Go check them out. They their stuff. Fantastic artwork in here from Galen Peugeot, who has worked with this channel before. So go check them out. Great game, wonderful artist, lovely people. And while you do that, we're going to go take a quick break, probably around 10 minutes or so. So we'll be back around 9 p.m., top of the hour, whatever it is, your time. So go out, do what you need to do, but make sure you are back here for more At Its Core. We'll be back soon, folks. Hello, we are back for the continuation of episode 3 for At Its Core, our Substratum Protocol game. So we last left our expedition, our doctors, down in a superheated cave. Superheated lake, I should say. We are nearly 2,000 kilometers deep in the Earth at this point. And only about halfway to the portal, whatever that may be, at the near center of the Earth. We last left them as they were pulling their printed industrial rubber raft off the superheated, microbial-rich seas that they find themselves in onto what appeared to be an island in a chain of islands, a small archipelago down sea, ocean, vastness all around you at this point. But as you are pulling this raft up ashore, you jump out of the boat just to give you a respite from the seas, because you obviously had to electric punch water as it was trying to creep up into your systems.
Mm-hmm.
Pull the raft up, you can hop out, and when you do so, your feet sink well above the ankle into the shore. Once again, this landmass ? Is carpeted with those pink grayish filaments you saw previously. Almost like little worm-like grass blades. Just carpeting the entire thing.
Don't like it.
And
I have a question. Oh, go ahead. I'll give my idea after you're done. Sorry.
Unlike previously when you were in the cavern and sticking out of the rock face, you do sink, as I said, above the ankles into this. If there is ground level here, it's deep. These creatures have completely subsumed the top layer of whatever this is. Or perhaps it is just a large mass of them. But there's no other topography. There's some dips and hills here and there on this mass, but it's roughly, just a little cap in the water. But there's no trees, there's no rocks, there's no other vegetation or animals that you can. It just seems to be a of these filaments.
So here's my idea. Can I somehow, and I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier, can I somehow use my suit to blow very cold air at these things just to see what the effect it would have on them?
At the wormy, grassy things.
Yes.
Yeah. In short bursts, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What effect does that have?
You can spritz some cold air on them, and they do actually sort of twitch and retreat in the small localized area. And then your feet sink another inch into the ground.
Okay, that's fine. We're probably getting it back on the boat pretty quick. My idea is this, however. Is there a way for us to make the boat cold?
Make the entire boat constantly cold. That would be fairly difficult, I think, because excessive cold plus rubber, I don't think really goes well. I think that tends to make it brittle. But just like the electrified idea, create like metallic ribbing on the underside or on the sides of the boat and create some sort of cooling device. Your 3D printer probably. I mean, you have a whole tank of elements compressed in some fashion in you could probably create a very limited supply of like super high pressure nitrogen or something to super cool metal rods. Is what comes to mind for me. If you guys have other ideas.
The only other idea I have is to make some sort of implement to basically attach to our suits, so our inner AC just keeps the boat itself at a cooler temperature than these things are used to, so they don't even want, like, they might still touch it, but we're not really worried about that specifically. But like make the environment undesirable for them to latch onto. Not necessarily like push them away, but like, oh, we don't like this much.
But is what's in the water the same as what's on the land? Or are they two different things?
At least visually, they look like two distinct organisms. One is a microbial life form, and the other is a worm-like filament.
Right, but the microbial stuff in the water is also very used to hot temperatures. So the idea is that, again, it's not like necessarily kill them or anything, but like if you have, let's say that there is a bacterium that survives off of the vents that you find in the ocean. They don't like going out into the ocean. It's cold out there. They like to keep to the hot. So if we can make the boat itself cool so they don't even want to come close to it.
I mean, the water is in excess of 600 degrees Fahrenheit. That's significant cooling power.
Yeah.
I think it could be done, but it would require a lot of cards.
I think we just have to struggle on, maybe. Ugh.
How many cards, Jack?
To super cool the exterior of your boat for the duration of your trip. I mean, you got to win 4 cards. You got to win 4 cards.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And mine are not high enough.
Now, if you wanted to create some sort of like cold blast gun or something to help like blast a small area away at a time, you know, that could have a limited number of.
I don't know. I kind of think we probably just need to make a run for it.
Okay. I mean, the only issue is that like, how far away is the next island?
Just over a kilometer away.
Now, looking forward, is that the general like distance between each of these quote unquote land masses?
Not necessarily. They're not uniform by any means.
Okay.
This seems to be actually a relatively long stretch between this first one and the next one, and the ones you can see out beyond that, or the ones you can send the boat bob out to survey, look a little bit closer together. They seem to continually clump closer and closer together as you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, if you think that we just need to go on through,
I mean, I'm trying to think of anything else that might work. But I'm kind of struggling to think of anything. The only other thing I could think of would be to electrify the ores in some way.
So I will also remind you of the sensor deployment option, which is anteing cards. I ask you a question about the scene and your becomes canon. Or the opposite of that, radioing back to the observer and flipping cards. But you ask me a question and I give. If you would like to utilize either of those, if you want to poke a area and do any more tests or poking and prodding or creating new things, or whether you just want to try to get through.
Yes.
save up some cards personally.
Yeah, I agree. Just make a run for it?
Yeah, I think so, unfortunately.
Yep.
All right. You want to pull this boat over the island to the other side and continue on?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a tiring journey over this landmass, and it's not huge, probably. And it's a small island. It's not just like a sandbar. It's a small island. You're talking another kilometer or so moving through this what seems to be ankle deep, squelchy, worm like. But you can manage. just moving through it doesn't seem to antagonize it in any way that means anything to you. So you can pull the boat to the other shore, plop on in, hop on inside, and begin your journey. I would like another sort of travel check here with probably dash and evade, unless you can think of another combination you would like to use. But it's going to be at disadvantage, which means you are going to re-roll the highest result.
Ooh.
I only have a D6 and a D4. What do you got?
D4s all the way, baby.
Nice. Do you want to? It sounds like you have to do a breath anyway. So
I don't have a choice. Yes, I would like to take a breath, please.
Okay.
I don't have any other option.
All right. You can reset all your skill die up to their maximum. And a complication. 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 I have an idea, but I don't know how it would play out mechanically. Not in a way that seems fair to me at the moment.
you can just scare us with it, and not actually do anything.
All right. I think I might just bank this or add it to the severity of the next complication, because I already have an idea of some potential turmoil coming up, and I don't want to front load anything too much. So, Dr. Undermoon, you reset all of your dice. Would you like to helm the next leg of this?
Yes, I will. So that's a dash, and I guess I will use my think to try and plot a course, and maybe using my gloves to, find the navigate a way through.
Well, you're pretty much in open water at this point. There's not really anything to navigate around.
Okay. In that case, let's have a think then. I'm trying to think what.
I got an idea.
Go on.
Maybe finding one of those underwater currents that might speed up might heat us up a little bit, but like actually get us somewhere quicker.
Yeah. Nice.
I could see think work for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Looking for a current will speed things up. Yes, I like that.
I like that. All right. Well, your cards to beat are a Queen of Diamonds. That's a 12. Starting off strong.
No.
And a 6 of Hearts. And remember, you are rolling at disadvantage.
Oh, excellent. Yes, I am. Okay, so I have, what have I got? I've got a D6 and a D10, haven't I? Okay, so let's do the D6 first.
Okay.
That's a 6. Fair chance. And another 6.
Yeah. So which one should I re-roll?
Well, it doesn't matter because you lost, right? Like, unless I'm mistaken, unless you passed, like if you passed it, we would have to re-roll, but.
Yeah. It re-rolls the highest result. And a 6 on a D6 is a higher result than a 6 on a D10. So you would re-roll the D6. Which means
I'd still fail anyway.
If you roll another 6, that would be 12, which would equal.
Okay.
You have a minuscule chance of this working.
Right.
Oh, so we passed. Okay, I misread that.
Come on. Oh,
damn.
That's a 4 for a total of 10. You do not get the queen, but you get that 6.
Get a 6, yeah.
Okay, so I think this works out rather well for the narrative here. You are now helming the row here, giving your colleague a break, because this is, now that you realize, taking on the brunt of this. Before, just sort of, you were helping with maneuvering, assisting with just keeping it going. But Dr. Daring does need a little bit of a rest, and that's not saying anything in physicality, but the water is actively working against you.
Yeah.
Or at least you presume the microbial life in the water. So once again, it's very difficult to build up any speed whatsoever, and you notice the red is creeping up your oars quicker than it did before.
Man.
It seems to remember this and is using the same tactic, whether it's a tactic or whether it's just the natural inclination of the sure, but it does seem to be moving quicker. And this next island is further.
Oh,
You really
no.
have to push yourself to move.
Yep.
Take a point of stress here for that complication, but it is going to
Mhm.
continue to build up. Let's see, we are at stress 1 there. All right, there we go. Somehow this managed to get out of sync. There we go. Okay. You are that point of stress is just the exhaustion built.
Yep.
Faster, seeing this creep move more quickly towards you, but you are not going to be able to get there before it reaches your gloves again. And if you just let go, well, you're going to stop. The raft is just going to be brought to a stop. But you can also see that red is starting to creep up the side of the raft as well. Not as quickly, but it is starting to creep up. And it does start getting to your gloves. I presume you want to do the same thing before.
Yeah.
Charge it up and smack it away. And put your hands together and electrify them. And it doesn't recede. You electrify again, it doesn't recede.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Thoughts?
Thoughts?
Okay.
I think that the best course of action, we know that this shit doesn't like cold. So what if we just overcharge our AC units and just make our suits cold, so at least it's not touching us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, if I reconfigured part of the suit to boost the charge through it, knowing it might, have an impact on the suit itself, to deliver a more powerful charge.
Yeah, if you pump more electricity through it, you could short out some of the electronics, or the electricity could become so hot that you might risk melting the rubber of the boat.
Ooh. Yeah, that's
I mean, either of those options, I would say, super cooling your suit or supercharging the electricity, both of those would solve the problem with complications because you are exceeding safety parameters.
yeah. But only one of them is going to actually, if we get it wrong, fry the boat. So maybe it is about super cooling the suits.
Best I can do for that is a D6 and a D4.
So I think if you both want to go with the super cooling your suits idea, I think this is what would be akin to like a constitution check. You can get the suit to do that, to bypass some parameters, maybe, attach some extra hoses here or there. But you're going to be super cooling your suit to the point where it is dangerously cold to you. So I think that's going to be... There's not really a good sort of endurance check, but confront is defined as both defense and attack, as opposed to evade, which is just avoiding danger in a more physical sense. So I think this is break plus something else. Break plus think is probably the best I can think of. Maybe even break plus make if you want to quickly slap together something.
I break plus make.
And
I will do it.
You're both going to have to do this.
Oh, okay. We're both going to do it. Okay.
You said make plus break?
Either make plus break or break plus think.
Okay, so I've got a D8 and a D4.
D6 and D4.
Let's start with Dr. Undermoon here. You have a 10 of spades and a 9 of clubs. Big numbers.
Right, okay, so let's do the D4 first.
That's a 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good, is it? God. Unless I get the 8, I'm stuffed.
Yep.
Oh,
so close.
And a 7.
So close.
So you have some options here. You could discard 2 suited cards for a boost.
Yep.
Or you could go for a flashback and it'd be a flip off.
Ooh, yeah.
Now, if you win that flip off, you get advantage. It's not an automatic success. You just get advantage. You would you would reroll the D4.
Okay.
If you fail that flip off, however, it is disadvantage. You would have to re.
Okay. So the 1 would get me the 9, wouldn't it? 7, 8, 9. The advantage. Hopefully, I'd get a 2, but I might get a 3 if I win the flip off. Oh. Well, do you know what? I'm feeling lucky.
All right.
I would like to put my 8 of diamonds as my card for you to beat.
All right. You are anteing up an 8 of diamonds against the house's 4. You win the flip off. All right. So you gain advantage for this with your flashback. So you can re-roll the D4. But please describe what sort of flashback enlightens you to and helps you out in this situation.
So, I think that when he was going through the specs of the suit, one of the things he kind of thought about was the fact that he likes okay, he enjoys a scotch, but with ice.
Damn.
Sorry. And so he's kind of tinkering around thinking, okay, I've got to find a way to make it so that I can use the systems here to add some ice to a drink. And so he's reconfigured some of the external kind of cooling systems to actually create ice. How does that sound?
I like the general premise of it.
Yeah.
I think it's very appropriate for Dr. Undermoon to
Yeah.
take
Think about his
inspiration.
creature comforts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ease of frustration, the wonders of
Yes.
alcohol.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one of the means in which your suit does regulate temperature is, and I think like race car driver suits actually have a rudimentary system of this. They actually have tubes of water that sort of flow through them, almost like a water does. And I think you can sort of inject some additional elements in there or something that allow down below the point of water or whatever it is before, and use that to really help super cool the suit.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Go ahead and re-roll that d4.
Ooh. Okay. Anything but a 1 is good for me.
That's a 4
Nice.
on the d4.
It's in.
You gambled and won. All right. That's a total of 11. You get both cards, and you are safe from what was going to be quite a dangerous punch there. And now we're on to Dr. Dan.
Mm-hmm.
God.
So I'm doing. You said it was I can do make and break. You said.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's my best bet. D6, D4.
You have a 5 of clubs and a king of clubs to beat. I'm back to having some big cards.
I can't beat the king unless I do stuff. What are my options?
You can discard 2 suited cards for +1, or you can ante up cards as a flip off for a flashback. That's what Tal just did.
But that's only gives me advantage, which still wouldn't let me
Yeah.
beat the king.
No.
And the king's at 13, meaning I would have to get rid of all 3 of my cards. And still not necessarily beat it.
Yeah. Yeah, you might just be out of options for this one.
Yep.
The 5, you should be able to get that 5.
Yeah, just barely.
A 2 and a 3
Wow.
on a d6 and d4.
Wow.
You got at least you got the 5. It's not a complete disastrous epic failure. Okay. So that still works. You're able to super cool your suit. You're not able to modify the system in the way that Dr. Undermoon did. This is all just happening too quickly for you to really communicate ideas back and fabricate a working alternative. This was a on a whim idea that Dr. Undermoon had, and you just not have the same sort of epiphany. And you are relying on just your suit's natural cooling capabilities, bypassing safety regulations. So you are cooling your suit down below 0 Fahrenheit, well below 0 Fahrenheit. You go from feeling like you were in a, relatively hot room on a summer's day in Arizona, walking barefoot through the Antarctic right now. Yes, you do notice doing this that the redness is beginning to recede away from, but you are physically hurting from this. You are on the verge of my microphone did.
Yay!
You are on the verge of hypothermia, on the frostbite even. And it could possibly be doing damage to the suit's electronics as well. So you take 2 stress, but you do safely manage to get to this next island, or should I say this next massive pinkish gray tiny tendrils.
Hello, voices, my old friends.
Back up to thrumming whispers. All right.
With 4.
Let me.
I've missed you so much again.
Should be that. There we go.
The whisper softly speaking.
I imagine you hastily pull yourself ashore onto this wibbly, squibbly, squidgy land mass. Hop out of the boat and begin warming yourself up again, just trying to get back to a reasonable ambient temperature. Doctors, from analysis of external suit environments and some passive sensors, it appears that this microbial life has modified itself, evolved extremely quickly in what presumably is only a very few number of generations, if that, and has made them, well, seemingly resistant to the degree of electricity you.
Could you calculate how fast it would have to evolve in order to be able to do that?
I have not witnessed any other creature cataloged in your biological texts that exhibit a capability to rapidly modify their physiology in such a way. With this singular data point, I could not make any further predictions. However, it does seem that this evolution, if that is the correct term, happened extremely rapidly. It is likely whatever countermeasures you employ, it will attempt to find a way to circumvent.
Any thoughts on appropriate action we might be able to take to counter this?
Would you like to offer up any cards for a sensor deployment or observatory check?
Oh yeah, actually, maybe we could do a an observatory check. Hang on, let's let's see. Lay down a card. Right, what cards have I got? First of all, let's have a look. Let's see. Have I got anything? Oh, I've got that 10.
And if there's any other investigations or analysis of your environment you would like to do to add context.
This card I have is a 7, which is better than 50%, but
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna or should I do a sensor deployment? Okay, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna do a sensor deployment.
Okay.
And I will use my 10.
Okay.
Ooh.
That means I have to think of a question.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Why do these always get away from me? There they are. Sensor deployment. Okay. Okay. So I will ask you a question about the current scene or events, and your answer is fact. If you win this flip off, I will add to what you tell me. If you lose the flip off, I will. But ... What you say remains true, but I will be able to put conditions on it. Okay. So you are anteing up 10 of spades here
Yep.
against my queen.
Oh, you
Ooh.
absolute. Oh.
That's just bad luck.
Yeah.
That was unlikely.
Yeah,
All right.
I read my luck.
So, either way, you get to create the answer to this question, add
Okay.
conditions onto it. So, okay. A creature can't be entirely impervious. And even if it has the capability to rapidly evolve, there's probably something that is just core to its physiology. And I'm kind of drawing a little bit on they very easily adapt to their environment. They change depending on what the facehuggers hug onto. But they have some rules that they always seem to follow. What is a basic, concrete, physiological backbone of this microbial organism that is just immutable?
I think it's its
man.
heat.
Oh, presumably you want it to be something helpful to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing that it has something to do with the environment it's already in. Like when we were coming in, we know like these creatures got more and more populous the deeper we went and the hotter it went, and they didn't spread outwards, right?
So you're talking
To
about the wormy filament things.
Yeah, my idea is that they survive in similar environments. They survive in similar scapes, right? So like, yeah, they're two different creatures, but they're both living in similar environs, right? Like one's in the water, but it's still super hot. And the other is on land, but it's again hot.
I mean, there's a good 200 or so degree between air temperature and water temperature.
So it's hotter in the water or in the air?
It's way hotter in the water.
Right. So so then my thought would be that it would be they would be affected even more than the land mass. The other environment that I'm thinking of is that they're obviously very used to acidic and having more of a base material. I mean there is maybe a large range of what they can survive in, but even the most resilient creatures, except for perhaps water bears, seem to have a range they can be in without
What about
just not being.
Okay, I've got an idea. What about so we're so far underground that these creatures will unlikely have encountered bacteria that can create things like sickness and illness and that kind of thing. So they wouldn't necessarily, I would suggest that they wouldn't have a defense system against these things because they have never encountered them.
Okay. Yeah. They have a very limited immune response.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So what kind of condition can I put on that? They have a very limited immune response, but oh, I know. I know what my condition is.
Mm-hmm. And you're not going to tell us.
But I'm not going to tell you because you have not found a piece of the puzzle. If you find the piece of the puzzle that will allow you to connect
Yep.
the logic here, I will fill you in. But
I use my thrumming whispers to change the condition of this. So you have to tell us.
So I guess my thought process would be that we would need to release into this creature some kind of
you want to commit
disease
biowarfare on the lake.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'm thinking. God. I mean, we haven't tried communicating with it, but I think it just wants to eat us. Okay.
I mean, I can attempt to use my universal translator with the crystal to see if we get some more information. I still do have a D10 with my universal translator.
You could attempt it, but unlike the crystals, you have not seen anything that would even remotely look like it's strong.
No, I'm more about asking the thing if it has any ideas of how to
crystal.
proceed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might need that.
Would you like me to do that?
Well, I mean, so the two options are going to be either we do that or I'm going to release a plague on this creature of some sort.
Now, the crystal was originally a D6. You used it once. Decrements it to a
D4, so it would be a D10 and a D4.
Yeah, and this will be the last use of that crystal.
Now, does it recharge out of travel or no?
Nope.
Gotcha.
That's it.
All right.
Okay. The question that has never been asked before. Germ warfare or chatting with a crystal to determine a way out?
Genocide or diplomacy? The age-old question.
I think we should try diplomacy first.
Okay, so this is the last time we're going to be able to ask this thing a question. Remember that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because I don't really want to kill this thing. I mean, this is, from my kind of viewpoint, this is an incredible creature being able to evolve so rapidly. The last thing I want to do is go, you're in my way.
Yeah.
And toss
Watch
something in there.
Watch, the crystal just says kill it.
Yeah.
Burn it with the
you don't want to
flame.
Burn it with fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Diplomacy, I think.
All right. Here we go, Jack.
All right. You have to beat a 6 of spades.
Good.
And a queen of spades.
I'm at a -1.
Yes.
This is important. 1. I'm going to add 3 to my roll.
You have to discard 2 of the same suit to get a +1. So with those 2 diamonds, you can...
+2.
+2 then. All right. Sacking all 4 of your cards for a +2. All right.
Ooh.
So with your minus, that's an effective +1.
Well,
yeah.
I'm not sacking cards ever again. This is what's that?
You've only got +1.
Yeah.
So
I failed completely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Complete failure. Yep.
I'm never sacking cards again.
It doesn't seem to go in your favor, does it?
No.
That was a 2 on a D10, and a -1 + 2 is 5. You don't get either of these cards. They both get
Never
discarded.
sacking cards again.
Okay,
Oh,
so
this is
you,
going to be bad.
the two of you take. You're probably resting on this squiggly, wormy beach for some time. You sink a degree into it, but you don't seem to sink any deeper the longer you're here. The tendrils do sort of wrap around you, but they don't seem to be pulling. They don't seem to be pulling you down. They just. The land is just kind of gently hugging.
Mm.
But you have time to sit and Dr. Daring can come with this crystal. And you try talking to it for a bit. You try your binary, I want to say binaric hymns. Your binary trilling, I suppose. Nothing seems to work, and I think that starts to become frustrating. And then the whispers begin creeping in once more. And where it seemed that the conversation you had with this crystalline entity helped push you back from those whispers, the fact that this crystalline entity is responding to you. Whether there's a correlation involved between the whispers and or whether it's just your own mind, the whispers come back, and they come back louder. They don't make any more sense, really, but they come back louder. And I think, Dr. Undermoon, you realize that for probably a good 10, 15, 20 minutes, Dr. Daring is just sitting there gripping onto the crystal, sort of babbling under his breath.
Okay, great.
And then
In Aramaic.
and then spiderweb cracks down this crystal. And then it shatters. Not just shatters, but almost explodes. There is a bright flash of light to it. And it's almost a small frag grenade, really, or a large frag grenade. As you are pelted with, little sized, quartz slamming into you. Now, the suit itself isn't going to be damaged all that much, and protection. But your head is ringing, Dr. Daring. The whispers aren't whispers anymore. They're shouts. They're drilling into your head, and they don't make any sense. You are asking for clarity, you're getting chaos. Yeah, I think I got to give you another point of stress here.
Woohoo!
Yeah, because that is
Five.
damage metric.
Oh.
So you are up to 5 total stress.
Yes.
Okay. You do not get any clarity from this at all. And I think for a small moment, even after the sort of catatonic state, Dr. Undermoon, you would see Dr. Daring just slumped sideways into these filaments that do just kind of hug against him.
Warm embrace.
Oh.
That doesn't last long, Dr. Daring. You take a 2-3 minute crazy nap and wake up.
Doctor, are you okay, Doctor?
I think that there's a long silence, and then he suddenly whips around to look at you with like wide eyes. He goes, "Yes."
Good to know.
Feel perfectly fine.
Okay. Any did you learn anything?
I'm constantly learning, Doctor.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay.
Shall we continue? I'm so excited.
Dr. Daring, what you did learn from this, or perhaps you already knew and simply needed the clarity, is that the rigidity of the physical laws of the universe are rigid as your scientific minds have previously determined.
Well, I don't know if Daring ever thought that, but
Sure. So this actually may be a bane and a boon, because you are now tipped over into fragile laws, which means once per deep breath, you can change a fundamental force about the scene. Gravity, electricity, light, magnetism, heat.
Eat.
It comes with a cost on your sanity. You are now rolling a -2 on any check. But the rigidity of the physical laws aren't as they seem to be, and you think you might be able to nudge them one way or another. Of course, Dr. Undermoon doesn't know this, and the next best option, I believe, was chemical warfare. Biological warfare.
Yes.
Now, can
So
I? Nah. Okay, never mind.
So he's currently having a difficult ethical moment and it's, he didn't become a scientist to destroy things. He became a scientist to learn as much as possible.
This is a major ethical dilemma for you. I will say,
100%.
if you are willing to take 2 stress, I will give you an important piece of the puzzle that you're missing.
Join me in the madness town. Come on.
You are racking your brain for any even slightly plausible chance that you don't have to mass genocide this micro.
He will take that. He will take that.
All right.
100%.
Devil's bargain, the
100%.
temptation win. All right.
Anything to not have to, turn what he loves to, warfare.
You begin hearing the whispers now in the back of your mind. Not terribly loud. They're just creeping in. You think it's, your own thoughts rapidly trying to find any other possible way to go about this. Intrusive thoughts, helpful thoughts, contradictory thoughts. And your eyes are drawn down to where you are sitting on this mass of tiny tendrils. And you realize there's you just sloshed out of the sea. Your boots, the raft, there's not a hint of wetness here at all. There's still a bit of squidginess to this area. And you can pull out some instruments and check. These filaments seem to be excreting their own sort of acidic lining. But any of the water, or whatever else that water is not present here.
Fascinating. So, okay. Computer?
Yes, Dr. Undermoon.
I've had a thought. Do you think if we took a sample from these pink filaments here, we could extract some of the material that prevents the water from interacting with it and create a paint of some kind that we could then coat the boat in, which should prevent any the water from getting to us?
Without knowing the underlying principles associated with these two phenomena, I could not make any sort of correlation between the two. However, you are correct. A sample of the creature you now reside on could provide some insight into how it seems to survive in this dangerous environment.
think it's got to be worth a try rather than.
So would you like to biopsy this squidgy, wormy landmass?
Yep. In order to create a. So before I do that, though,
Mhm.
I would like to. I think I have 8 cards.
Mm.
I would like to trade my cards in
Okay.
for a systems upgrade.
You are free to do so, but remember that puts you both at 0. No cards for suit systems.
Yeah, that's
or
fine.
all
We'll
right.
be fine. Yep.
Go ahead and discard all 8 of your cards. You gain an additional stress capacity, so I add that to the overlay, though that's easy now. You
Bold
clear all
move,
stress.
Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Well, it resets my stress, which is obviously great.
yes. And
it
actually,
resets my dice as well. And I can upgrade one of my die.
yes.
So I think it was worth it from that perspective, whilst I had the cards. So I am going to. Okay, which should we use more? Do we use dash or evade more?
Think evade, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. I think evade too. Okay, so I would like to increase my evade to a D8.
All right. And the eye, what did you increase?
Oh crap. I think it was. Was it break? I think it was break.
I think it was break. So that went up to what?
D6.
D6. All right. I'll get those added to the overlay.
And with a kind of moment of, I guess it's like a moment of clarity for him to think, this might actually work. I've got a chance I won't have to kill this organism. He will start working on his extraction of this material to synthesize some kind of
So
paint.
I think biopsying the appropriate materials thoroughly is actually a sort of good excuse, a good route actually for you to try to gain a portal. So I think this could be our main study check.
Excellent.
So that is think plus whatever you would choose.
Ooh, that's a good question. I guess actually it's got to be make, really, hasn't it? Because I'm trying to synthesize a. So that's a D10 and a D8, right? What cards have you got for me, Jack?
A 10 of diamonds and a 6 of diamonds.
Okay, right.
Not easy.
Good roll, yeah.
You do have to get both of them to get a portal.
Right. Okay, so D8.
Your D8. That's another 8 on an 8.
Yeah, but what's the 10 going to give me?
Yep.
Just enough.
Exactly what you need. Exactly what you need. And you know what? I am so glad for it. I am happy. So go ahead and claim those cards. That's a nice 10 to have in your pocket. So you are both taking some time to rest because you kind of need to. And Dr. Undermoon, go about and start biopsying this landmass. And I imagine you're not just grabbing a whole tendril and cutting it off. You're taking like little biopsies. This part down deeper into the ground, the core, whatever. And you can amass, get a number of different samples. You can take little pieces from a whole bunch of different tendrils And they don't seem to. It doesn't seem to bother them too much when you take a piece of an individual one. And recedes. Maybe a few others around it twist it and recede. But even after taking, 4, 5, 6 samples, it doesn't seem to agitate it in any meaningful.
Okay.
And you
Sorry,
can
Jack,
begin.
I keep losing you.
Oh, damn it. Okay. I don't know what this is. All right. Well, I will face over here then. To recap, or perhaps I will cut here in the VOD. You begin taking a number of biopsies from these tendrils, taking bits and pieces here and not taking too much from any individual. And they don't seem to react in any meaningful way. They seem to be aggravating terribly.
Mhm.
I still seem to be cutting out a little bit. But you take 4, 5, 6 different samples or so and putting them in different analyzers, checking, pH, quality and resistance, checking, how different chemicals might affect it, heat, cold, pressure, even put it in a rudimentary genome analyzer.
Nice.
And that's when something pops up in your HUD. Error. Once again. But you are directed not towards any of your other sort of environmental condition sensors. It's the genome sequencer here. Or even just the super microscope, electron microscope, to be able to see that deep. Whatever these things are, they don't have a double helix genetic structure. You're not even sure if you could classify these as plants or animals or insects. They have an almost flexible plastic-like chitin to them that also seems to be semi-permeable, allowing them to varying of acidity. And I imagine you are sharing this information at HUDs. Dr. Daring.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Dr. Daring, the genetic sequence of this creature is not a double. It's a trispiral. This doesn't have an intertwined double helix. A sort of flat disk of genetic code. 3 interconnected, or not interconnected, but continuous line of 3 spirals that flow into each other. Triskelion.
At the word of this, Daring is there like a readout that he can have, and Daring is poring over this and running every symbology, language, everything he can think of to see if there's some underlying meaning to all of this.
So while Dr. Daring is having an existential crisis, epiphany, somewhere in between.
Existential euphoria, yes. I think it would be the...
what you realize, Dr. Undermoon, is it doesn't seem to be any... The acid, it's coating doesn't... What is... it's not an sort of aquaphobic creature, if you want to use that terminology. Just the opposite, actually. These filaments seem to be eating those microbes. If you could take a section of this turf and line the boat with it, it'll eat away all of those nasty little buggers.
Ooh, yes. I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
So, I know I just threw a lot at you, Dr. Daring. Is there any final roleplay scene you would like to do tonight? Because we are pastime at this point, but I mean, I got all the time in the world. Or should we wrap up and open up with this new understanding, epiphany next time?
I think we should wrap up. Tal is a late man at this point.
Yes. So not to brush us through, but this was all the pieces have finally started coming together. So I will say to extract a good mass of tendrils in a way that doesn't aggravate the whole. And actually, you realize that these aren't tendrils sticking out of rock that is formed an island. This is a stalk of one whole creature sort of floating on the water. There's no rock here. It's just a mass, and they are taking sustenance from the in this water. But you can sort of cut squares of astroturf out of wiggly, squidgy, worm-like grass and line the exterior of the boat in it. And then spend the next few days just rowing from island to island, maybe switching out sections of this biological lining you have. It's slow going, it's tiring, but eventually you do manage to get to the other side of this archipelago in the distance, the other side of this cavern wall. And I think we will pick up there with the two of you rowing in the dark, because once again, the only illumination is coming from your suits, your sensors, rowing in the dark through this water that wants to eat you in a boat lined with wormy tendrils. And our camera
reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah. And camera will pull back into the darkness at its core.
Amazing. That was so good.
I really enjoyed this sector. I had a lot of fun with it, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to wrap up quickly.
Honestly thought we were stuffed then. I really, really did.
Yeah.
I thought we'd stuffed it.
All right, let's wrap up quickly so we can get our Brit to bed. Yeah, just no real announcement. Stay tuned, because we have a number of series that we will be announcing shortly. We're going to be casting for them. So if you would like to become, part of our growing table here, we would certainly love to hear from. Yeah. So stay tuned to the social medias, YouTube, here on Twitch, wherever you may be viewing this. We're some casting calls and some pitch documents, and just fun announcements of things coming up.
Absolutely, can't wait.
I think that's all I have.
Yeah. I was just going to say, and check out all the stuff that's on YouTube anyway. If we've got some fantastic videos over there, past series. You can catch up on this series if you've not done so already, which we'd highly recommend. And we'll be letting you know about what's coming on in the near future.
Yeah. Tal, actually, you contribute a lot of other videos to our YouTube channel. So how about you tell folks what you're up to?
So, absolutely. So at the moment, I am mainly doing a series called The First Hour-ish, where I pick up new games or games I've never played before, play the first hour, there or thereabouts, and then give you a bit of an overview as to what I think. The two newest videos we've uploaded are only out this week, which was The Altars, which is a phenomenal game with a spec I hadn't even seen before, in all honesty. The fact that you're basically creating alternative versions of yourself as your crew is wild, but I think that's going to be a great game. And then the other one is the Scottish melodrama, which I think is the best way to describe it. And that, I can never remember the name of it. It is called Still Wakes the Deep, which is a horror game. So if you like scary stuff that's on there, I will advise you, there is a lot of swearing in it. But if you don't mind that, it's well worth watching that to check out the first hour of that as well. And that's there'll be some other stuff coming on there as well soon. So stay tuned.
Awesome. And the Eye, once again, as anything to add?
Not quite yet. I think next week I will make my announcement.
All right. We got something in the works for you there as well.
Sorry.
All right. Once again, go check out Substratum Protocol by Pandion Games if you want to play along with us. There's a lot of great stuff in this book. It really is such an other than that, we'll see you next week for more of this. Stay tuned, folks. Glad you were here with us. Press all the fancy buttons, like, follow, subscribe. They make fun noises, make us feel good, and tell the AI overlord we want more. And always feel free to hop down into the comments. We love hearing from you. With that, we'll see you next week. Have a good night. Happy time zone, all of that. Catch you later, folks.
Bye.